Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. And for this Reseller Friday, I want to talk to you about a subject that's going to maybe ruffle some feathers, but this is coming from my heart in brotherly love. But I want to be blunt about this because if you look around social media and you look at what resellers are talking about, there are so many people whining about, well, the eBay algorithm this. Well, Poshmark did this. Well, Etsy's charging this. Well, the economy's going down. Well, people aren't buying. And there's all kinds of excuse making for why their business is not becoming a greater success. But I'm going to tell you a blunt truth. And many people, this is going to be hard for you to hear because you may feel like you're really working hard and you're really doing your all. But the average reseller is lazy. And I know this is rough, but please hear me out on this. Before I got started reselling, actually I did reselling technically. I would go to flea markets when I was a teenager, 16 years old, and I would go to the flea market before it opened, and I would go and around while people are setting up their booths, and I would buy stuff from them, and then I would set up my booth because I didn't have anything when I came there. And so then I would sell the stuff I had bought that day, and that's reselling at its finest. Even to the point one time I sold my car. I didn't have a way back. The person had to drive me back home because I ran out of everything to sell, and I thought, well, I'll just sell my car. See if I can make some profit off that, and I did. But one of the things that I see today is that many resellers, many times the vast majority, did not come from a business perspective. Before I got into actual reselling as a business, real business, not just doing the flea market thing I was doing as a teenager, I started some tech companies and various businesses did very well. And there's a different approach to those things because you realize when you've founded a business and you've ran it, you realize how much work goes into it. We're not talking about 8-hour days or even 12-hour days or even 16-hour days. We're talking about some days where you don't sleep for 48 hours. It's all work. We're talking about some days where you can't even have time to eat. Now, I'm not telling you your resale business has to be that strenuous, but what I'm telling you is that when you're coming from this 9-to-5 mentality that many people are coming from in the resale community, the issue you have is that most people who are working for somebody else weren't giving their all. I know there's exceptions to that, but most were not. So they take that same bad mentality, that same, let me be blunt about it, lazy mentality into their reselling. They try to cut corners. They try to do the least amount possible. They try to get just enough to make it a little bit of a success. And that is a fundamental flaw. You need to be approaching this like the founder of a business would be approaching this. Okay, I didn't get enough done today. I haven't reached my goals. I need to stay up until I get my goals accomplished. Not, well, I can do it tomorrow. Not, well, I did enough. Because see, the average person in their 9-to-5 job, they're just doing good enough. They're doing enough to not get fired, enough to look a little bit all right, but they're not giving their all. And I see so many people pulling back, and they're blaming the platforms they're on. They're blaming the economy. They're blaming this. They're blaming that. And no one's pointing to themselves and saying, wait, I'm the one to blame for this. And yes, I'm not discounting issues with marketplaces that maybe they're going down. Maybe they're having not enough traffic. I'm not discounting the economy or any of these things, okay? So don't say, well, you don't understand. This is happening over here. I get all that. My point is that you have control. This is not like some 9-to-5 job. You have absolute control in your business whether you become a success or not. You have absolute control whether you keep progressing and improving or you don't. One of the things many people have been doing recently is they started cross-listing. They were selling on eBay exclusively, but eBay started going down. And instead of just saying, oh, I give up. I don't know what to do. Poor me. eBay's doing poorly for me right now. They started cross-listing on other platforms. One of the hangups, and I myself was very much against cross-listing, was because the biggest problem it had was you cross-list all these other platforms, you get a sale, and now you have to go all these other platforms and delist stuff. And it's a disaster. And oftentimes people get double sales. People are getting their accounts in jeopardy. It was a disaster. But there are many platforms now that will help you cross-list for very inexpensive, and they automatically delist. So you don't need to worry about that. It's very easy. It makes sense. Why would you not want to have your products on as many platforms as possible? It doesn't take a lot. People will talk about, well, cross-listing takes so much time. You got to spend all day long. No, you don't. You spend a few minutes printing up the labels for the orders you got for the day. No big deal. And since you have good cross-listing software, it automatically delists it. Everything's good. And if you want to know some good cross-listing software, I have nothing to do with them. There's no affiliate program or anything like that. But you only pay by the listing, one-time fees for all the platforms for one time, about 3 cents a listing. Super easy. And not 3 cents per platform, per item. So if you have one item and you list it on 6 platforms, you only pay 3 cents. If you have one item and you cross-list it on 2 platforms, you pay 3 cents. It's just 3 cents at the highest plan. And that's a one-time fee. There's no monthly fees or anything like that. And I can send you that if you want to send me a message. But here's the thing. You need to be taking responsibility for your business. If you're coming from a 9-to-5 working for somebody else mentality, you have to understand you're the one in control now. If you're sleeping in because you don't have anyone to lord over you, you don't have a time clock to punch, that's on you. And most people's reselling businesses are not doing what they want it to be doing. They're not at the success level they want to be at because they are lazy. And I know that's hard to hear. I know people feel like they're doing a lot. But I've seen so many people, countless people over the years, that are shrinking back. They're doing less. Now, I'm not discounting, because some people are working tremendous amounts and they're hiring employees and things like that. I'm not discounting. Obviously, you don't want to just work just for the sake of work. That's not what I'm discussing here. But there are people who are working less than they used to work at some menial full-time job for people who didn't care. They were easily replaced with another employee. They weren't valuable to the company, but they gave that company 8 hours a day. And in their own resale business, they give it 4 hours a day or 2 hours a day, or maybe not even an hour a day. And I get that's one of the benefits of reselling is the fact you can work so little. But that is also one of the big detriments to most people's reselling businesses. They don't take it seriously. They don't treat it like that 9-to-5 job. If you're not working at least 40 hours a week, like you were working for some 9-to-5 job, and you're not working 40 hours a week in your own resale business, what are you doing? And this is not to criticize people. You can do whatever you want. But many people need a wake-up call. This lazy mentality isn't going to cut it. You may have to do things you didn't want to do. You may have to cross-list. You may have to go find better products. You may have to hire a sourcer. You may have to go further out. I know people who only source at a little tiny 20-mile radius. You might have to go 30, 40, 50, 60 miles or more to get the best products you can get, so you can start increasing your ASP. You can increase your sales total, your sell-through rate, and start improving your business. You have to approach this with the same fervor that you did with your 9-to-5 job. Actually, you got to have more than that, because most people going to their 9-to-5 job are not enthusiastic about it, and they're just doing the bare minimum to get by. You can't pull this bare minimum in your resale business and expect the greatest success. It is the crippler of most people's resale business. I can't tell you how many times people have given me excuse after excuse after excuse, and some of them are valid issues that are currently going on in this environment, but they're just excuses. Because in the end, you're the one that controls the fact that, oh, well, eBay's not doing as well right now as a platform. Things aren't selling as well in there. And yet, why are you not working 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day to improve what you're doing? At some point, you have to step back and take responsibility for your choices in the matter. And if you're not working at your all, you're not giving your all, you're not doing it unto the Lord, you can't blame the platforms for that. You can't blame the marketplaces. You can't blame the economy. You can't blame this and that. My friend, you got to take responsibility. And this is liberating. This is not an attack. This is liberating, because many people need a wake-up call. Your business cannot succeed and not keep growing if you're doing the bare minimum. So I want to encourage you, really strongly encourage you, to really ramp up your productivity. That could mean more hours in your business. It could mean going further out in your sourcing route. It could mean sourcing more often. I know people are sourcing 1 day a week and they wonder why they don't have very many items to list. Some people are very inconsistent in their listing habit. They list sporadically. That's not going to help your sales. Some people are taking time off and going on vacations and doing this and that, and their business is not established well enough for them to be doing that kind of stuff. Now listen, obviously you can do whatever you want, but this is coming from a place of love. And it's a strong word, and I get that a lot of people won't like this, but that's all right. If you've been slacking, if you've been shrinking back, if you've been doing the bare minimum so your store doesn't just completely crash and crater, start ramping things up. Start improving. Start dedicating more time to your resale business. Start dedicating more time to your craft, to learning, to improving your sourcing habits, to improving your listing habit, to improving all areas of your business. And watch, my friend, as you become a great success. I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.